Introduction. Have you been chasing what's already trying to find you? Have you ever noticed that the harder you chase something, the faster it runs away? Maybe it's love. You desperately want someone to notice you, to choose you, to stay with you. So you try harder. You text more. You change yourself. You become smaller, quieter, more accommodating. And somehow, the more you chase, the more they pull away. Or maybe it's success. You work yourself to exhaustion, trying to prove you're worthy. You say yes to everything. You push through the pain. You sacrifice your peace, your health, your joy. And still, the success you're chasing feels just out of reach. Or maybe it's happiness itself. You think, I'll be happy when I get that job, when I lose that weight, when I find that person, when I fix this problem. So you chase and chase and chase. But happiness keeps moving further away, like a horizon you can never quite touch. Why does this happen? Why does the thing you want most seem to avoid you the most? Here's what most people don't understand. You're not chasing success, love, or happiness. You're running away from yourself. And the universe sees this. Life sees this. The energy you put out into the world sees this. When you chase something from a place of feeling incomplete, from believing you're not enough without it, you're sending a clear message to the world. I am lacking. I am empty. I need this thing to make me whole. And life responds to that energy, not with cruelty, but with perfect reflection. It shows you more of what you believe about yourself. If you believe you're not worthy, life will show you situations that confirm it. If you believe you need to chase to receive, life will make you chase. If you believe you're broken and need fixing, life will keep presenting things that need to be fixed. This is not punishment. This is not bad luck. This is simply the way energy works. But here's the beautiful truth that changes everything. When you stop chasing and start loving yourself, when you stop running from your own emptiness and start filling it from within, everything shifts. Not because you become perfect, not because all your problems disappear, but because your energy changes. Instead of radiating, I need you start radiating, I am enough. Instead of vibrating with desperation, you vibrate with peace. Instead of chasing what you lack, you become what you seek. And when this happens, something magical occurs. The things you were chasing, the things that kept running away, they start coming to you. Naturally, easily, without force. Not because you tricked the universe. Not because you manifested correctly. But because you finally became a match for what you desire. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that confident people attract opportunities without trying? That peaceful people seem to have peaceful lives? That those who love themselves are loved by others? This isn't a coincidence. This is the natural law of energy. You attract what you are, not what you want. If you want love but you don't love yourself, you'll attract people who also don't love you. If you want peace, but you're at war with yourself, you'll attract chaos. If you want abundance, but you feel empty inside, you'll attract scarcity. But when you fill yourself first, when you give yourself the love you've been begging others to give you, when you create peace within yourself instead of demanding it from the world, everything changes. This book is about that transformation. It's about learning to love yourself first, not as a selfish act, but as the most generous thing you can do for yourself and the world. It's about understanding that you are not broken and don't need fixing. You just need to remember what you already are, whole, worthy, and enough. It's about discovering that the peace you're searching for, the love you're chasing, the happiness you're pursuing, they're not out there somewhere. They're already inside you, waiting for you to stop running and come home. In the next 10 chapters, I'm going to share with you the principles that change everything. These are not theories. These are truths that people have discovered throughout history, across cultures, through deep inner work and honest self-reflection. Each chapter will teach you one essential lesson about how your inner world creates your outer reality, and how loving yourself transforms everything you attract. These lessons are simple, But simple doesn't mean easy. They require you to be honest with yourself, to look at the ways you've been abandoning yourself while begging others not to abandon you, to see how you've been running from your own love while chasing it in others. This might be uncomfortable, but discomfort is not the same as harm. Sometimes the most uncomfortable truth is the one that sets you free. So I'm asking you now, are you ready to stop chasing? Are you ready to stop proving, performing, and pretending? Are you ready to come home to yourself? Because when you do, when you finally love yourself first, everything you've been chasing will find its way to you. Not because you became perfect, but because you became whole. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Why chasing pushes everything away. Have you ever noticed how animals behave when you chase them? If you run toward a bird, it flies away. If you chase a cat, it runs. The faster you move toward them, the faster they move away from you. But what happens when you sit still, when you stop chasing, and just exist peacefully in your space? Sometimes, the bird lands near you. The cat comes closer. What was running from you now approaches you. Why? Because you stopped being a threat. You stopped being desperate. You stopped chasing. This same principle applies to everything in life. Love runs from desperation but walks toward peace. Success avoids those who grasp at it frantically, but finds those who work with calm confidence. Happiness eludes those who chase it, but settles on those who create it within themselves. This is not a mystical law. This is simple energy. When you chase something from a place of lack, from a feeling of, I'm not complete without this, you're radiating a frequency of emptiness. And emptiness attracts more emptiness. When you exist from a place of wholeness, from a knowing that, I'm already complete, and this would be a beautiful addition, you're radiating fullness. And fullness attracts more fullness. Think about the people you know who seem to have everything come easily to them. The ones who don't seem to try too hard, yet opportunities find them. Love finds them. Success finds them. What's their secret? It's not that they're luckier. It's not that they're better. It's that they're not chasing from lack. They're living from wholeness. There was a woman named Maya who spent her entire adult life chasing love. Every relationship followed the same pattern. She would meet someone, feel that spark, and immediately start doing everything she could to make them stay. She would text first. Always. She would cancel her plans to be available. She would ignore red flags, accept bad treatment, change herself to fit what she thought they wanted. And every time, without fail, they would leave. What's wrong with me? She would cry to her friends. Why does everyone leave? Her friends would comfort her and say, you just haven't found the right person yet. But deep down, Maya knew it was something else. The pattern was too consistent, too predictable. One day, after another painful breakup, Maya sat alone in her apartment and asked herself a different question. Not what's wrong with me, but why am I so afraid of being alone? The answer came quietly, but clearly, because I don't believe I'm enough by myself. That realization cracked something open inside her. She had been running from her own emptiness, trying to fill it with other people's love. And the more desperately she ran, the more love ran from her. So Maya made a decision. She would stop chasing. She would stop trying to find someone to complete her. Instead, she would focus on completing herself. She started small. She took herself on dates. She learned to enjoy her own company. She stopped checking her phone every 5 minutes, hoping for a text. She said no to situations that didn't honor her worth. At first, it felt lonely. The silence felt heavy, but she sat with it anyway, and slowly, something shifted. She started to like herself, then respect herself, then actually love herself. She stopped seeing herself as incomplete. She stopped believing she needed someone else to make her whole. And then, something interesting happened. A man appeared in her life. But this time, she didn't chase. She didn't change herself. She didn't abandon her plans or ignore red flags. She simply existed as her whole self and let him come closer if he chose to. And he did, because wholeness is magnetic, because peace is attractive, because someone who loves themselves doesn't need to beg for love. Maya's relationship with this man was different from all the others, not because he was perfect, but because she was whole. She wasn't trying to fill a void, she was simply sharing her fullness. Years later, when friends asked her what changed, Maya would smile and say, "I stopped chasing what I thought I needed and started loving what I already had myself." If you recognize yourself in Maya's story, if you've been chasing love, success, happiness, or anything else from a place of lack, start by simply noticing when you're chasing. Every evening, spend 2 minutes asking yourself what you chased that day, what you did out of fear of losing something, and when you abandoned yourself to please someone else. Just notice without judging. Then identify the belief behind the chase by asking what you believe you lack and what you think you need to be complete. Most importantly, fill yourself first. Whatever you're chasing from others, give it to yourself. If you're chasing love, love yourself by writing down 3 things you appreciate about yourself each day. If you're chasing validation, validate your own efforts and worth. If you're chasing peace, create it within through 5 minutes of daily silence. When you feel the urge to chase, to text first again, to prove yourself, stop and breathe. Ask yourself if you're acting from wholeness or from lack. If it's from lack, wait. Fill yourself first. Then decide if the action is still necessary. At first, this will feel scary. You might think if you don't chase, you'll lose everything. But what you'll discover is the opposite. When you stop chasing from desperation, you create space. And in that space, what's truly meant for you can enter. The right people won't run from your peace. The right opportunities won't avoid your confidence. The right life won't elude your wholeness. They'll be drawn to it. Because wholeness is magnetic. Because peace is powerful. Because when you love yourself first, you become irresistible to everything that's meant for you. Not because you're perfect, but because you're no longer empty. You're living from fullness. And fullness attracts more fullness. Chapter 2. Your wounds are creating your patterns. Have you ever noticed that you keep attracting the same type of problem over and over again? Maybe you keep choosing partners who abandon you, just like someone did in your past. Maybe you keep ending up in jobs where you feel undervalued, repeating a pattern from childhood. Maybe you keep finding yourself in friendships that drain you, always giving and never receiving. You try to break the pattern. You promise yourself, never again. You swear the next time will be different. But somehow it happens again. Different person, different place, but the same story. Why? Here's the truth most people don't want to hear. You're not attracting these situations randomly. You're attracting them from your unhealed wounds. Think of a wound like a crack in a mirror. When light hits that crack, it bends in a specific direction. The crack distorts what you see. Your emotional wounds work the same way. They distort how you see yourself, how you see others, and what you believe you deserve. If you have a wound that says, "I'm not worthy," you'll attract situations that confirm it. If you have a wound that says, "People always leave," you'll unconsciously choose people who will leave. If you have a wound that says, "I have to earn love through suffering," you'll find relationships where you suffer. This isn't conscious. You're not choosing pain on purpose. But your wounds are like magnets, pulling in situations that match their frequency. Here's the beautiful part, though. When you heal your wounds, you stop attracting pain. You start attracting what you actually deserve. Healing doesn't mean the wounds disappear. It means you stop letting them control what you attract. The story. The man who kept losing. There was a man named David who couldn't keep a job for more than a year. He would start with excitement, work hard, and show promise. But eventually, something would happen. A conflict with his boss, a project that failed, a feeling that he wasn't appreciated, and he would quit or get fired. Every time, He would blame external factors. That boss was toxic. That company didn't value me. That job wasn't right for me. But after it happened for the 10th time, David couldn't ignore the pattern anymore. He sat down and asked himself honestly, what's really going on here? And in that silence, a memory surfaced. He was 8 years old, showing his father a drawing he'd made. His father barely glanced at it and said, "That's nice," before going back to his newspaper. David had felt invisible, unimportant, not worthy of attention. That moment became a wound, a crack in his mirror, and from that wound, a belief formed. No matter what I do, I won't be seen or valued. For 30 years, David had carried this wound unconsciously, and it had shaped every job experience he'd had. He would work hard, seeking validation. When validation didn't come, or when it wasn't enough, the wound would activate. He would feel that same childhood pain of being invisible, and he would quit or sabotage himself, confirming the belief. See, I told you I'm not valued. Once David saw this pattern, he realized something. He wasn't losing jobs. He was recreating his childhood wound over and over, hoping for a different ending. So he decided to heal the wound instead of repeating it. He started therapy. He began journaling about the young boy who just wanted to be seen. He gave that younger version of himself the acknowledgement he'd never received. "You are worthy of being seen," he told himself. "Your efforts matter, even if no one else notices." He stopped seeking validation from bosses and started validating himself. And slowly, the pattern broke. David found a new job, and when conflict arose, when he felt undervalued, instead of quitting, he paused. He recognized the wound, trying to activate, and he chose differently. He spoke up for himself. He asked for what he needed. He didn't abandon himself when things got hard. And for the first time in his life, David kept a job, not because the job was perfect, but because he'd healed the wound that kept creating the pattern. If you're stuck in a repeating pattern, start by identifying it clearly. Write down what painful situation keeps repeating in your life and what the common theme is. Be specific. Don't just say bad relationships. Say, I keep choosing people who are emotionally unavailable. Then find the wound beneath the pattern by asking when you first felt this way, who made you believe you deserved this, and what you concluded about yourself from that early pain. Sit with this and let memories surface. The wound is often formed in childhood or during a significant painful event. Instead of judging yourself for having this wound, give it compassion. Talk to it with kindness daily for just 5 minutes. I see you. I see why you're scared. What happened to you wasn't fair. You deserved better. You're not broken. You were hurt, and I'm here now to heal you. Place your hand on your heart and speak to the younger version of yourself that formed this wound. When you feel the patterns starting again, when that familiar situation begins to unfold, pause and recognize that this is your wound activating. Breathe and remind yourself that you don't have to repeat this story. Then ask what you would do if you were already healed, and do that thing, even if it feels unfamiliar or scary. Finally, replace the old wound belief with a new truth. If your old belief was, I'm not worthy of love, your new truth is, I am worthy of love exactly as I am. Say your new truth out loud every morning. At first, this feels awkward. Your wound will resist. It's been protecting you in its own dysfunctional way for years. But as you practice compassion toward your wound, as you choose differently when patterns arise, something shifts. The old situations stop appearing. Or when they do appear, they don't hook you the same way. You start attracting different experiences, healthier relationships, better opportunities, kinder people, not because the world changed, but because you changed what you're broadcasting. You healed the wound that was creating the pattern. And from that healing, you now attract what affirms your worth instead of what confirms your pain. Chapter 3. Stillness is your superpower. Have you ever been in a room full of people all talking loudly, trying to be heard, and then one person speaks softly, and everyone stops to listen? That's the power of stillness. In a world where everyone is shouting, the quiet voice stands out. In a culture where everyone is constantly moving, posting, performing, the person who is simply present becomes magnetic. This isn't about being shy or withdrawn. This is about knowing your worth so deeply that you don't need to announce it. It's about being so secure in yourself that you don't need constant validation. Most people are frantically chasing attention, approval, and recognition. They're loud, they're busy, they're always proving themselves. But all that noise comes from one place: fear. Fear that if they stop moving, they'll be forgotten. Fear that if they stop performing, they won't be valued. Fear that if they're just themselves, quietly and simply, they won't be enough. So they make noise. Constant, exhausting noise. And, ironically, all that noise makes them invisible. Because everyone else is making noise too. It all blends together into background static. But when you cultivate inner stillness, when you stop frantically performing and simply exist with quiet confidence, you become impossible to ignore, not because you're trying to be noticed, but because your energy is different. It's calm, it's centered, it's real, and in a world full of pretending, real is rare, real is magnetic, real attracts. There was a young artist named Sophia who desperately wanted recognition for her work. She would post every day on social media. She would comment on everyone's posts. She would network constantly, attend every event, talk to every person who might help her career. She was exhausted, but she believed this was what it took to succeed. You have to hustle, everyone said. You have to be visible. But despite all her effort, her work wasn't resonating. People would like her posts, but no one was buying. Galleries would be polite, but not interested. She was making a lot of noise, but nothing was happening. One day, burned out and frustrated, Sophia stopped. She deleted her social media apps. She stopped going to networking events. She stopped trying to be visible. Instead, she just created, in silence, for herself. She painted what she actually wanted to paint, not what she thought would get attention. She sat with her work for hours, refining it, perfecting it, loving it, without posting a single update. Months passed, and in that silence, something shifted in Sophia. She stopped creating for validation. She started creating from fullness. Her art became deeper, more authentic, more powerful. When she finally did share her work again, something remarkable happened. People noticed, not because she was louder or more visible than before, but because her work had changed. It had weight. It had presence. It had something that couldn't be ignored. A gallery owner reached out. There's something different about your recent work. It has a quality I can't quite name, but I want to show it. Sophia's career took off, not from hustle, from stillness, from doing the inner work in quiet, from trusting that good work doesn't need to shout. To develop the kind of inner stillness that becomes magnetic, try stopping all performance for 1 week. For 7 days, resist the urge to prove yourself. Don't post on social media seeking validation. Don't overshare in conversations to be liked. Don't explain or justify yourself unless truly necessary. Don't perform or pretend to be anything other than what you are. Just exist quietly and confidently. Each day, practice 10 minutes of stillness. Sit in complete silence with no phone, no music, no distractions. Just sit comfortably, close your eyes and breathe. When thoughts come, just notice them and return to your breath. Be still. This teaches your nervous system that you're safe even without constant doing. In conversations, practice quiet confidence. Don't rush to fill silence. Don't compete for attention. Speak only when you have something meaningful to say. Let others finish completely before you speak. Trust that your presence is enough. Notice how people actually lean in to hear you when you speak less, but with more intention. Every morning, remind yourself that you don't need to prove your worth. Your presence is enough. Trust that what's meant for you will find you without force. Before any action, check if you're doing this from fear of being forgotten or from genuine inspiration. If it's from fear, pause, return to stillness, and only act from fullness. At first, this feels terrifying. Your ego will scream that if you stop performing, you'll disappear and no one will care about you. But what actually happens is the opposite. When you stop trying so hard, people start paying more attention. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. When you stop chasing validation, respect finds you. Because stillness is rare, quiet confidence is powerful, and people are drawn to those who don't need anything from them. You stop being exhausting to be around. You become restful, magnetic, real. Chapter 4. Let go to receive. Imagine you catch a butterfly. Beautiful, delicate, perfect. If you hold it too tightly in your fist, trying desperately not to lose it, what happens? You crush it. The very thing you're trying to keep, you destroy with your grip. But if you hold your hand open, palm up, letting the butterfly rest there freely, it might stay. Or it might fly away. Either way, it remains beautiful and alive. This is the paradox of receiving. You can only keep what you're willing to release. When you hold onto something too tightly, a person, a job, an outcome, a desire, you suffocate it with your fear. Your tight grip doesn't come from love. It comes from terror. Terror of loss. Terror of emptiness. Terror of being alone with yourself. And that energy of fear and control pushes away the very thing you're trying to keep. But when you learn to hold things loosely, when you can say, I love this, and I'm willing to let it go if it's not meant for me, you create space for real love, real connection, real belonging. Because detachment isn't about not caring. Detachment is about trusting. Trusting that what's truly yours will stay without force. Trusting that what leaves wasn't meant for you. Trusting that you'll be okay either way. This is the highest form of faith. Letting go while loving. There was a mother named Janet whose daughter Emma was preparing to leave for college across the country. Janet was terrified. For 18 years, Emma had been the center of her world. Janet had built her entire identity around being a mother, and now Emma was leaving. In the months before Emma's departure, Janet became controlling. She called constantly. She questioned every decision. She made Emma feel guilty for wanting to leave. Don't you love me? Janet would say, after everything I've done for you, you're just going to abandon me? Emma felt suffocated. The more her mother clung, the more Emma pulled away. Their relationship, once close and loving, became tense and painful. One night, Janet's sister visited and saw what was happening. You're going to lose her, her sister said gently. Not because she's going to college, but because you're holding so tightly that she can't breathe. Janet broke down. But if I let go, she'll leave me forever. Her sister took her hand. She's leaving anyway. That's not the question. The question is, do you want her to leave feeling suffocated and guilty? Or do you want her to leave feeling loved and free, knowing she can always come home? Those words cracked something open in Janet. She realized her tight grip wasn't about love. It was about fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of losing her purpose. Fear of facing her own empty life. So, Janet made a decision. She would let go. Not because she didn't care, but because she did. She stopped calling constantly. She stopped making Emma feel guilty. She started building her own life, finding her own purpose beyond mothering. And she told Emma, I love you. I'm going to miss you, but I want you to fly. And I trust that our love is strong enough to survive distance. Something beautiful happened. When Emma felt the space, when she felt her mother's trust instead of her fear, she came closer. Their last weeks together were sweet again, loving again. And when Emma left for college, she called her mother often, not from obligation, from genuine love, because she wasn't running from a tight grip anymore. She was choosing to connect from freedom. Janet learned that letting go didn't mean losing. It meant loving without fear. And that kind of love creates space for real connection to grow. Start by identifying what you're gripping too tightly. Ask yourself what you're afraid to lose, what you're controlling out of fear, and where you're holding on so tight that you're suffocating what you love. Write it down honestly. Then understand the fear beneath the grip by asking what you believe will happen if you let go, what this thing gives you that you think you can't give yourself, and what you're really afraid of losing. Usually, the answer isn't the thing itself, but what you think the thing provides. Security, worth, purpose, love. Give yourself what you're seeking. If you're gripping a relationship because you're afraid of being alone, practice being comfortable alone. If you're gripping a job because it gives you identity, build identity outside of work. If you're gripping an outcome because you think it will make you worthy, work on feeling worthy now. Practice this releasing phrase daily for whatever you're gripping. I love you or this, and I release you or this. If you're or it's meant to stay, you'll or it will stay without my force. If you're or it's meant to go, I trust I'll be okay. I let go with love. Say this every morning. Feel the words and mean them. Then take one action of letting go this week. If you're gripping a person, give them space and stop checking their location or demanding constant contact. If you're gripping an outcome, make plans for what you'll do if it doesn't work out to show yourself you'll be okay either way. If you're gripping control, let someone else make a decision and trust their choice. At first, letting go feels like dying, like you're losing everything. Your fear will scream at you to grab back, to control, to hold tight. But if you stay with the practice, something miraculous happens. What was running from your tight grip stops running. The person you were suffocating can finally breathe, and they choose to stay or leave peacefully if they were never meant to stay. The outcome you were forcing either happens naturally or something better appears. Because what's truly yours doesn't need to be forced. What's meant for you won't require you to shrink, beg, or grip tightly. Real love stays from freedom, not fear. Chapter 5. Your pain needs kindness, not judgment. When you hurt yourself physically, what do? If you cut your finger, do you scream at it? You stupid finger. Why did you get cut? What's wrong with you? No, that would be absurd. You clean the wound gently. You bandage it with care. You give it time to heal. But when you hurt emotionally, what do? When you feel sad, anxious, angry, or broken, most people don't treat themselves with care. They attack themselves. Why am I so weak? Why can't I just get over this? What's wrong with me? Everyone else has it together. Why am I such a mess? This self-judgment doesn't heal you. It makes everything worse. It's like taking that cut on your finger and rubbing dirt into it, then wondering why it's not healing. Here's what most people don't understand. Your pain isn't the problem. Your pain is a signal that something needs attention. The problem is how you respond to your pain. When you meet your pain with judgment and shame, you create chaos. Your nervous system goes into fight mode against yourself. You become your own enemy. And in that war, healing is impossible. But when you meet your pain with compassion and kindness, you create the safety needed for healing. Your nervous system relaxes. You can finally see clearly what you need. Self-compassion isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's treating yourself like someone worth caring for, because you are. There was a woman named Lisa who struggled with anxiety for years. Every time anxiety appeared, Lisa would attack herself. Not again. Why are you doing this? You're so pathetic. Just stop being anxious. Everyone else handles stress fine. What's wrong with you? She would try to force the anxiety away through sheer willpower. She would shame herself for feeling it. She would hide it from everyone because she was embarrassed. And the anxiety got worse. Much worse. One day, after a particularly bad panic attack, Lisa was completely exhausted. She couldn't fight anymore. She just sat on her bathroom floor and cried. And in that moment of surrender, something different happened. Instead of attacking herself, a small, quiet voice inside her said, "You're having a really hard time right now, aren't you?" It was her own voice, but it was gentle, kind, like she was talking to a scared child. And in that moment, Lisa did something she'd never done before. She put her hand on her heart and said, "I see you're scared. It's okay. You're safe. I'm here." The anxiety didn't disappear, but something shifted. For the first time in years, Lisa wasn't at war with herself. She started practicing this every time anxiety came. Instead of "What's wrong with you?" she would say, "What do you need right now?" Instead of "Stop being weak," she would say, "This is really hard. You're doing your best." Instead of hiding her struggle, she started being honest about it, with herself first, then with trusted friends. And slowly, the anxiety began to soften, not because she beat it into submission, but because she stopped fighting herself and started caring for herself. Lisa learned that healing doesn't come from judgment. It comes from compassion, from treating your pain like a hurt child who needs kindness, not criticism. Notice when you're attacking yourself throughout the day. Pay attention to your inner voice and write down the judgmental phrases you use when something goes wrong or you feel pain. Just notice them without trying to change anything yet. Awareness is the first step. When you notice pain, pause and put your hand on your heart. Ask what you would say to a dear friend going through this. You wouldn't say they're pathetic. You'd say this is really hard and you're here for them. Say those compassionate words to yourself out loud if possible. Try this self-compassion break when you're overwhelmed. First, acknowledge that this is a moment of suffering and it's really hard right now. Then remember common humanity by recognizing that you're not alone in this. Everyone struggles, and this is part of being human. Finally, offer kindness by placing both hands on your heart and saying, "May I be kind to myself. May I give myself the compassion I need." Breathe with your hands on your heart for a few minutes. Replace your common judgmental phrases with compassionate ones. Instead of "I'm so stupid," say, "I made a mistake and I'm learning." Instead of "Why am I such a failure?" say, "This is challenging and I'm doing my best with what I know." Instead of "I should be over this by now," say, "Healing takes time and I'm allowed to still be processing this." Once a week, write yourself a compassion letter as if you're writing to a beloved friend who's struggling with what you're struggling with. Be kind, be understanding, be encouraging. Read this letter to yourself when you're being hard on yourself. At first, self-compassion feels awkward or even selfish. You might think if you're kind to yourself, you'll become lazy or stop improving. But the opposite happens. When you stop fighting yourself, you have energy for actual healing. When you stop shaming yourself, you can see clearly what you actually need. When you treat yourself with kindness, your nervous system calms down enough to find solutions. Chaos comes from internal war. Clarity comes from internal peace. And self-compassion creates that peace. Chapter 6. Change your inner voice, change your life. Have you ever noticed how people tend to treat you the way you treat yourself? If you constantly criticize yourself, people criticize you. If you don't respect your own boundaries, people don't respect them either. If you speak to yourself with contempt, somehow contempt finds its way to you from others. This isn't a coincidence. This is a law of energy. Your external reality is a mirror of your internal reality. The world doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to how you treat yourself. Think about it. If you met someone who constantly talked badly about themselves, who treated themselves as unworthy, who accepted terrible treatment from others, would you respect them? Or would you unconsciously treat them the way they treat themselves? The truth is, people follow your lead. If you show them that you don't value yourself, they won't value you either. But if you speak to yourself with kindness and respect, if you honor yourself and your worth, people sense that, and they respond differently. Your inner dialogue creates your energetic standard. It broadcasts to the world. This is how I should be treated. And the world listens. So, if you want to change your external reality, if you want people to treat you better, if you want life to show up differently, you have to change how you speak to yourself first. There was a woman named Rachel who couldn't understand why everyone in her life was critical of her. Her boss constantly pointed out her mistakes. Her partner regularly made cutting comments. Her friends seemed to always find something to criticize. Why does everyone treat me this way? She asked her therapist. I'm a good person. I work hard. I try to be kind. Why am I surrounded by people who tear me down? Her therapist asked a simple question. How do you speak to yourself? Rachel was confused. What do you mean? When you make a mistake, what do you say to yourself? When you look in the mirror, what thoughts go through your mind? When you're alone with your thoughts, what's the tone of your inner voice? Rachel started paying attention, and what she heard horrified her. You're so stupid. Of course you messed that up. Look at you, you're disgusting. You'll never be good enough. Who would ever really love you? Her inner voice was vicious, cruel, unrelenting. She had thought these were just her private thoughts, that they didn't matter because no one else could hear them. But her therapist explained, the way you speak to yourself is the way you teach others to speak to you. Your energy broadcasts your inner dialogue. People sense how you value yourself, even if they don't consciously realize it, and they mirror it back to you. Rachel decided to experiment. For 30 days, she would change her inner dialogue. Every time she caught herself speaking cruelly to herself, she would stop and rephrase. You're so stupid became, I made a mistake. I can learn from this. You're disgusting became, I am worthy of love and respect exactly as I am. You'll never be good enough became, I am enough. I am doing my best. It felt fake at first, like lying to herself, but she kept doing it. And slowly, something remarkable happened. Her boss started acknowledging her good work more. Her partner's comments became gentler. Her friends seemed more supportive. Nothing about these people had changed. What changed was Rachel's energetic standard. By changing how she spoke to herself, she changed what she would accept from others. She changed what she believed she deserved. And the world responded to that shift. For 3 days, become aware of your current inner dialogue. Just notice how you speak to yourself without trying to change it yet. Carry a small notebook or use your phone, and every time you catch yourself thinking something about yourself, write it down. At the end of 3 days, read through what you wrote and notice patterns and tone. Would you speak to a child this way? To a friend? Probably not. From your notes, identify the 3 most harmful things you repeatedly say to yourself. Common ones include, I'm not good enough. I'm stupid. No one will ever love me. I'm ugly or disgusting. I always mess everything up. And I'm too much or not enough. Write down your top 3. For each harmful phrase, create a compassionate alternative. Harmful. I'm not good enough. Kind. I am enough exactly as I am. I am learning and growing. Harmful. I'm stupid. Kind. I'm human. I make mistakes, and that's how I learn. Write these down and put them somewhere you'll see them daily. Every time you catch yourself using a harmful phrase, interrupt it by noticing you just said something cruel to yourself, stopping to take a breath, replacing it with the kind alternative, and reinforcing it by saying it again with your hand on your heart. Do this every single time. It will feel ridiculous at first. Do it anyway. Every morning, look in the mirror and say 3 kind things to yourself. I am worthy of good things. I deserve to be treated with respect. I am doing my best, and that's enough. Every evening before bed, say, I spoke kindly to myself today. I am proud of myself for trying. I am enough. Pay attention to how people start treating you differently. Do people respect your boundaries more? Are compliments easier to receive? Do critical people seem less present in your life? Do kind people seem to appear more? Write down what you notice. The first week will be hard. Your old inner voice is a habit, and it will fight back. You'll forget to replace negative thoughts and feel silly talking kindly to yourself. Keep going. By week 2, you'll notice the kind voice starting to feel more natural. By week 3, you'll start noticing external changes. A compliment lands differently. Someone's criticism doesn't devastate you. You stand up for yourself in a situation where you normally wouldn't. By week 4, you'll realize the world is responding to you differently. Not because the world changed, because you changed your energetic standard. You taught people how to treat you by first changing how you treat yourself. Chapter 7. Peace is the ultimate magnet. Think about 2 people you might know. Person A is always stressed, always rushing, always anxious about what's next. They're busy, loud, constantly doing, but somehow nothing seems to work out. They try hard, but doors keep closing. Person B is calm, centered, present. They work steadily but not frantically. They seem to trust that things will work out. And somehow, opportunities just find them. Doors open seemingly, without effort. What's the difference? It's not that person B works less, or wants success less. It's their energy. Person A is operating from chaos, fear, and scarcity. That frequency repels what they want. Person B is operating from peace, trust, and abundance. That frequency attracts what they need. Here's what most people don't understand. Peace isn't passive. Peace is powerful. When you're at peace, you're not scattered. Your energy is focused, clear, strong. When you're at peace, you make better decisions. You see opportunities you'd miss in chaos. When you're at peace, you become magnetic. People want to be near you. Opportunities flow to you. Not because you're forcing anything, but because peace is a rare and powerful frequency that naturally draws good things in. Chaos repels. Peace attracts. It's that simple. There was a man named Michael who believed success required constant hustle. He worked 80-hour weeks. He networked obsessively. He said yes to every opportunity. He never stopped moving, never stopped pushing. And he was miserable, exhausted. And strangely, despite all his effort, success kept eluding him. Deals would fall through at the last minute. Opportunities would disappear. The harder he chased, the faster things ran away. One day, Michael's body gave him a message he couldn't ignore. He had a stress-induced health scare that landed him in the hospital. Lying in that hospital bed, forced to be still for the first time in years, Michael had a realization. I've been running so hard that I haven't noticed I'm running in circles. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm just tired. When he left the hospital, his doctor gave him strict orders. Reduce stress, slow down, or face serious consequences. Michael had no choice. He had to change. He started saying no to opportunities that drained him. He cut his work hours in half. He started meditating every morning, just sitting in silence for 20 minutes. At first, it felt like failure, like giving up, like he was falling behind while everyone else raced ahead. But then, something unexpected happened. A partnership opportunity appeared, the perfect fit for his skills. An old client reached out with a dream project. Ideas flowed effortlessly where he used to force them. Within 6 months of slowing down, Michael had achieved more than he had in years of frantic hustle. How? Because he stopped operating from chaos and started operating from peace. And peace is magnetic. When he was running frantically, his energy said, "I'm desperate. I'm not enough. I need to prove myself." But when he slowed down and found peace, his energy said, "I trust. I'm capable. I have value." And the world responded to that shift. Start by identifying your chaos patterns. Ask yourself where in your life you're operating from frantic energy, when you feel like you're pushing too hard, and what you're doing from fear rather than peace. Write down specific areas: work, relationships, health goals. Before you start your day each morning, before you check your phone or dive into tasks, sit in silence for 10 minutes and just breathe with no agenda. Ask yourself what peace feels like in your body. Notice where you're holding tension and consciously relax. Set an intention. Today, I operate from peace, not fear. Throughout the day, every time you're about to take an action, pause and ask if you're doing this from peace or from fear. If it's from fear, desperation, anxiety, or proving yourself, stop, breathe, return to peace. Then decide if the action is still necessary. This week, create spaciousness because peace requires space and chaos comes from overcrowding. Remove one commitment from your calendar that drains you. Say no to one thing you'd normally say yes to out of obligation. Build in 30-minute buffers between activities. Have at least one evening this week with nothing scheduled. When you're waiting for something, a response, an outcome, a result, practice peaceful waiting instead of checking anxiously every 5 minutes. Acknowledge that you've done what you can do. Release the outcome because it's not in your control. Trust that what's meant for you will come. Return to now by recognizing that right now, in this moment, you are okay. Each night before bed, spend 5 minutes on a peace inventory. Ask yourself when you operated from peace today, when you slipped into chaos, and what you can do tomorrow to choose peace more often. Celebrate moments of peace. Don't judge moments of chaos. Just notice and learn. Week 1. You'll feel uncomfortable. Peace feels like doing nothing when you're used to chaos. Your mind will tell you you're being lazy. You're not. You're recalibrating. Week 2. You'll start noticing the difference between peaceful action and chaotic action. You'll see how much energy you were wasting on frantic doing. Week 3. Small shifts will appear. A difficult conversation goes smoothly. An opportunity appears without you forcing it. Someone comments that you seem different, calmer. Week 4. You'll realize peace isn't passive, it's powerful. You're accomplishing more with less effort because your energy is focused, not scattered. Chapter 8. You can't receive from an empty cup. Imagine someone comes to you with an empty cup, desperately saying, "Please fill this. I need it filled. I'll die without it." How do you feel? Probably pressured, maybe even resentful. Their desperation makes you want to step back, not help. But imagine someone comes to you with a cup that's already mostly full, and they say, "I have plenty here, but I'd love to share with you." How do you feel now? You probably want to add to their cup. Their abundance makes you want to contribute. This is exactly how energy works in receiving. When you approach life, people, and opportunities from a place of desperate need, I need this to be happy, whole, or okay, you create a repelling force. Your neediness says, "I'm empty. Fill me." And emptiness attracts more emptiness. But when you approach from a place of wholeness, "I'm already complete, and this would be a lovely addition," you create an attracting force. Your fullness says, "I have space for more good things." And fullness attracts more fullness. The secret to receiving isn't learning to ask better or try harder. It's learning to fill yourself first. When your cup is already full, life loves to overflow it. The story, the two friends. There were two friends, both single and wanting to find love. Sarah approached dating from desperation. She believed she needed a partner to be complete. Every date was filled with pressure. Is this the one? Will they choose me? What do I need to do to make them stay? She would text too much, agree with everything her dates said, ignore red flags, and mold herself into whoever she thought they wanted. And every relationship ended the same way. They would leave, and Sarah would be devastated, feeling even more empty than before. Her friend Jen took a different approach. Jen decided that before looking for a partner, she would become whole on her own. She took herself on dates. She pursued hobbies she loved. She built a life that felt full and meaningful even without a relationship. When she did date, she wasn't looking for someone to complete her. She was looking for someone to complement her already full life. If a date went well, great. If it didn't, she still had her wonderful life to return to. She didn't agree with things she disagreed with. She didn't ignore red flags. She didn't change herself to be chosen. And within a year, Jen met someone wonderful. Not because she tried harder than Sarah, because she approached from wholeness, not neediness. The man she met could feel the difference. He wasn't responsible for filling her empty cup. He was invited to add to her already full life. That energy made all the difference. Identify your neediness by honestly asking yourself what you believe you need from others to be okay, what you're desperate for, and what you think will finally make you complete. Common answers include love, approval, success, validation, attention, and security. Write down what comes up. Recognize the belief beneath by asking what you believe having this will give you. For example, if I find love, I'll finally be worthy. If I succeed, I'll finally matter. If people approve of me, I'll finally be okay. The need isn't actually for the thing. It's for the feeling you think the thing will provide. Give yourself that feeling now. Ever feeling you're seeking from external sources? Find ways to give it to yourself. Seeking worthiness from others? Practice affirming your own worth daily. Seeking security from a job? Build internal security through savings, skills, and self-trust. Seeking love from a partner? Learn to love yourself through kind self-talk and self-care. Make a daily practice of filling yourself with what you're seeking. Once a week, take yourself on a date or treat yourself to something you'd want from others. Take yourself to dinner at a nice restaurant. Buy yourself flowers. Write yourself a love letter. Plan a day doing things you enjoy. Give yourself the gift you'd want someone else to give. This teaches you that you don't need someone else to give you good things. You can give them to yourself. When you're about to interact with someone or pursue an opportunity, check your energy. Are you thinking, please choose me, I need this, which is neediness? Or, let's see if this is a good fit for both of us, which is wholeness? If you notice neediness, pause. Fill yourself first, then engage from fullness. Reframe your desires by changing how you think about what you want. Old, I need a relationship to be happy. New, I'm happy now. A relationship would be a wonderful addition. Old, I need this job to prove I'm valuable. New, I'm valuable now. This job could be a great fit. Old, I need their approval to feel okay. New, I approve of myself. Their opinion is just bonus information. Week 1, you'll feel the discomfort of relying on yourself. It might feel lonely at first. That's normal. You're breaking an addiction to external validation. Week 2, you'll notice you're less anxious in interactions. You're not performing or desperately trying to be chosen. You're just being yourself. Week 3, people start responding to you differently. They seem more attracted to you, more respectful. Why? Because you're not asking them to fill your emptiness. You're inviting them to share in your fullness. Chapter 9. Become what you want to receive. Have you ever noticed that loyal people tend to attract loyal friends? Peaceful people tend to have peaceful lives? Generous people tend to be surrounded by generosity? This isn't luck. This is the law of reflection. Life is a mirror. It doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are. If you want love but you're filled with judgment, you'll attract judgment. If you want peace but you're filled with chaos, you'll attract chaos. If you want abundance but you're filled with scarcity thinking, you'll attract scarcity. The mirror doesn't care what you say you want. It only reflects what you're radiating. Most people approach life backwards. They think, once I get what I want, then I'll be happy, peaceful, or generous. But it works the opposite way. Become happy, peaceful, or generous, and then you'll get what matches that energy. You don't receive loyalty by demanding it. You receive it by being loyal. You don't attract peace by chasing it. You attract it by being peaceful. You don't get abundance by obsessing over lack. You get it by embodying abundance. Whatever you want to receive, become it first. There was a man named David who was angry at the world. Everyone is selfish, he would complain. Nobody cares about anyone else. People only look out for themselves. And sure enough, that's exactly what he experienced. Everywhere he went, he encountered selfish people. His friends only called when they needed something. His co-workers took credit for his work. His dates seemed only interested in what he could give them. See, he would say, I told you, everyone is selfish. One day, his grandfather sat him down. Tell me, David, when was the last time you did something kind for someone without expecting anything back? David thought about it. He couldn't remember. When was the last time you asked someone how they were doing and really listened to the answer? Again, David came up blank. When was the last time you gave to someone just because you wanted to, not because you wanted something in return? David started to see where this was going. His grandfather smiled gently. You're complaining that everyone is selfish. But what are you being? That question hit David hard. He realized he had been so focused on what he wasn't receiving that he had become exactly what he was complaining about. He was selfish. He was self-centered. He only thought about what others weren't giving him. And the world, being a perfect mirror, reflected that back to him. So, David decided to experiment. For 30 days, he would become what he wanted to receive. He wanted kindness. He started being kind, holding doors, complimenting strangers, helping without being asked. He wanted generosity. He started giving his time, his attention, small gifts to friends for no reason. He wanted genuine connection. He started being genuine. He asked real questions and listened to answers. At first, nothing changed. People were still selfish around him, but he kept going. And then slowly things shifted. A coworker who usually ignored him started asking how his weekend was. A neighbor he'd helped began bringing him baked goods. A new friend appeared who was genuinely kind and generous. The world hadn't changed. David had changed, and the mirror reflected his new energy back to him. Identify what you want to receive by writing down what you feel is missing from your life. Love, respect, kindness, loyalty, peace, abundance, support, understanding. Be specific and pick your top 3. For each thing you want to receive, honestly assess what you're giving. Ask yourself if you're giving this to others and if you're being this yourself. For example, want respect? Do you respect others? Do you respect yourself? Want loyalty? Are you loyal? Or do you abandon people when things get hard? Want understanding? Do you seek to understand others? Or just to be understood? Write down the honest truth, with no judgment, just awareness. For the next 30 days, actively practice being what you want to receive. Want love? Show love to 5 people this week, with no expectation of return. Want respect? Respect everyone you encounter and speak to them with dignity. Want peace? Be peaceful. Don't engage in drama or gossip. Want abundance? Be abundant with what you have. Tip generously. Share your knowledge. Give your time. Each morning, ask yourself how you can be what you want to receive today. If you want kindness, plan one kind act. If you want peace, plan how you'll maintain peace, even if challenged. Each evening, review your day. Where did you embody what you want to receive? Where did you not? Celebrate successes. Learn from misses. No judgment. Pay attention throughout the 30 days to how people start treating you differently. Week 1. Probably not much changes. You're still radiating your old frequency, mostly. Week 2. Small shifts. Someone is surprisingly kind to you. A situation resolves peacefully. Week 3. More noticeable changes. People seem more respectful, more generous, more whatever you've been giving. Week 4. You realize the world around you has changed because you changed what you were reflecting into the mirror. After 30 days, this isn't a practice anymore. It's who you are. You're not performing kindness to get kindness back. You're kind because that's who you've become. You're not acting peaceful to receive peace. You're peaceful because that's your nature now. And from that authentic being, you attract life circumstances that match. Chapter 10. Let your old self die so your true self can live. Have you ever watched a caterpillar become a butterfly? Inside the cocoon, the caterpillar doesn't just grow wings. It completely dissolves. Its old form breaks down entirely. Only after the old form dies can the new form emerge. The butterfly doesn't carry the caterpillar with it. The caterpillar has to die for the butterfly to be born. Your transformation works the same way. There's a version of you that was built for survival, that learned to please people to stay safe, that learned to shrink to avoid conflict, that learned to hide to avoid rejection. That version served you. It kept you alive. It got you through hard times. But it's not who you really are. Who you really are is underneath all those protective layers, underneath all the adaptations and survival strategies. And for that true self to emerge, the old constructed self has to die. This sounds dramatic, and it is, because letting parts of yourself die is uncomfortable. It feels like loss, but it's not loss. It's liberation. You're not losing yourself. You're losing what was never really you in the first place. There was a woman named Grace who spent 40 years being who everyone else needed her to be. To her parents, she was the dutiful daughter who never caused problems. To her husband, she was the agreeable wife who kept the peace. To her children, she was the selfless mother who sacrificed everything. To her friends, she was the supportive listener who never burdened anyone with her own problems. Everyone loved Grace. She was so nice, so easy, so helpful. But Grace didn't know who Grace actually was. She had spent so long being what others needed that she had no idea what she actually wanted, needed, or believed. One day, her youngest child left for college. The house was empty. Her husband was at work. And Grace sat in the silence of her perfect, quiet home and realized she felt completely empty. "Who am I?" she whispered to the empty room. "Without all these roles, who am I?" The question terrified her, because she didn't have an answer. So she went to therapy, and her therapist said something that changed everything. "Grace, the person you've been is not who you are. That person was who you needed to be to survive your childhood, to keep your marriage stable, to raise your children. But that person is made up of what others needed, not who you actually are. To find yourself, you have to let that constructed person die." Die. Grace was shocked. "But that's all I know how to be." "I know, and letting it go will feel like dying. But it's the only way to live as your true self." Grace began the painful process of letting her old self die. She started saying no. At first, it felt cruel. People were shocked. "This isn't like you, Grace." Exactly. It wasn't like the old Grace, but it was like the real Grace who was emerging. She started expressing her real opinions. She disagreed. She stood up for herself. She asked for what she needed. Some people didn't like it. Some relationships ended. That hurt. But something else happened too. Grace started to feel alive. For the first time in 40 years, she felt real. She discovered she loved painting. She'd always thought she wasn't creative. She discovered she was actually quite opinionated. She'd always thought she was easygoing. She discovered she needed solitude. She'd always thought she needed to always be available. The old Grace, the agreeable people pleaser, died. And the real Grace, vibrant and authentic and occasionally difficult, was born. Not everyone from her old life made it into her new life. But the people who stayed loved the real her, not the performance. And Grace finally loved herself, because she finally knew herself. Identify your constructed self through deep reflection. Ask yourself who you had to be to survive your childhood. Examples: the perfect child, the invisible one, the peacekeeper, the achiever. Ask who you had to be loved. Grieve the old self and allow yourself to feel. Letting your old self die is a loss. Even if that self was limiting you, it's still been with you a long time. Allow yourself to grieve. I'm grateful for the part of me that learned to keep everyone happy, that kept me safe. But I don't need that protection anymore. I can let it go now. Write a letter to your old self thanking it for its service and saying goodbye. Each week, do one thing your old self never would have done. If your old self always said yes, say no to something this week. If your old self hid opinions, share your real opinion once. If your old self never asked for help, ask for help. If your old self was always serious, do something playful. Start small. These acts of authenticity are practice for living as your true self. Expect and accept resistance. When you start changing, people will resist. Why are you being so different? I liked you better before. You've changed. This is normal. You're disrupting the role you played in their life. Some will adjust. Some won't. Prepare yourself. Some people will not like the real me. That's okay. I'm not for everyone. I'm for myself and those who love my authentic self. As your old self dies, don't rush to create a new identity. Spend time exploring. What do you actually enjoy? What do you actually believe? What do you actually need? Who are you when you're not performing? Try new things. Make mistakes. Be confused. This is the chrysalis phase. It's supposed to be messy. Each morning, ask what your true self would do today. Each evening, reflect on when you lived as your true self today and when you defaulted to your old constructed self. Celebrate moments of authenticity. Learn from moments of defaulting. Month 1, terrifying. You feel like you're losing yourself. Everything feels wrong and uncomfortable. Month 2, confusing. You don't know who you are anymore. The old self is dying, but the new self isn't clear yet. Month 3, glimpses. You have moments where you feel truly yourself. They're brief, but powerful. Month 6, integration. Your true self is emerging more consistently. You're learning who you actually are. Year 1, liberation. You realize you're free. The old constructed self is gone, and you're living as your true self. You are not the roles you play. You are not who you had to be to survive. Underneath all the adaptations, underneath all the protection, underneath all the performing, there is a true you. That true you doesn't need to prove anything, doesn't need to please everyone, doesn't need to hide. That true you is enough, exactly as it is. But to meet that true you, you have to let the false you die. Conclusion: you are already whole. We've journeyed through 10 truths together. 10 ways to love yourself first so everything else can flow to you naturally. Stop chasing from lack. Heal your wounds. Cultivate stillness. Let go with love. Give yourself compassion. Change your inner dialogue. Choose peace as power. Fill your own cup. Become what you seek. Let your old self transform. All of these truths point to one essential understanding. You are already whole. You don't need anything external to complete you. You're not broken. You're not lacking. You're not inadequate. You are enough. Exactly as you are right now. The love you're seeking, it's already within you. The peace you're chasing, it's already available in this moment. The worthiness you're trying to earn, you were born with it. You don't need to become perfect to deserve love. You don't need to achieve more to be valuable. You don't need to be anything other than what you already are. The work isn't about adding more to yourself. It's about removing what's covering your truth. The judgments, the wounds, the old stories, the false beliefs. Underneath all of that, you are whole. And when you love that wholeness, when you honor it, when you protect it, when you speak to it with kindness, something magical happens. The world responds. Not because you've manipulated energy or manifested correctly, but because you've finally aligned with your truth. And truth is magnetic. Wholeness is attractive. Self-love is powerful. When you love yourself first, you're not being selfish. You're being wise, because you can't give what you don't have. You can't love others deeply if you don't love yourself. You can't offer peace if you're at war within. You can't share abundance if you feel empty. So the most generous thing you can do for yourself and for the world is to love yourself first. Fill yourself with kindness. Speak to yourself with compassion. Treat yourself with the respect you deserve. Give yourself the patience you'd give a dear friend. Honor your needs. Protect your peace. Trust your worth. And from that full, loving, peaceful place within you, everything you've been seeking will find its way to you. Not because you chased it, but because you became a match for it. Not because you forced it, but because you created space for it. Not because you earned it, but because you finally believed you were worthy of receiving it. Love yourself first. Not tomorrow, after you fix everything. Not next week, when you finally have it together. Not someday when you've achieved enough. Now, today, in this moment, exactly as you are, love yourself first. And watch as everything you've been desperately seeking finds its way home to you. Because you are home. You've always been home. You just needed to remember. Welcome home to yourself. Everything you need is already here.